This is a film that's available now to stream on the Apple TV Plus app or channel. This is a new film starring Tom Holland entitled Cherry. This is directed by the Russo brothers, who you may know, well, you almost undoubtedly know their work. They did the last couple of Avengers movies and Captain America movies. So, working with somebody they'd worked with on the Avengers movies, Tom Holland, who you know as the current Spider-Man, they've taken him in this story, based loosely on a true story. This was based on the book of the same name, Cherry, about a man who had gone off to war in Iraq or the desert and came back with PTSD and wound up descending into a life of opioid addiction and bank robbery. So I did look up the details of the actual story. They're vaguely similar to this book, to the movie, I should say. I'm not sure how close the movie is to the book, but at any rate, we're talking about the movie. I didn't read the book. So Cherry stars Tom Holland. He is this young, hopeful guy, sort of from the wrong side of the tracks, sort of has, as far as the movie presents, he sort of has the cards stacked against him. He meets and falls in love with a girl in college. Signals are sort of crossed at one point, and he decides to sign up for the army. She says she'll wait for him. He goes over and becomes a medic, and he basically sees what you see when you go to war. He sees some really horrifying things that really mess him up, and he comes back not being able to completely deal with that. He winds up becoming an addict to various substances. Ultimately, it becomes heroin, and in order to get himself out of a jam, he robs a bank. And he realizes that the way to continue to get himself out of jams and get his fix for his now also addicted wife is to keep robbing banks. So it's really a story of a guy who sort of had the cards stacked against him, the deck stacked against him, and is sort of a circling the drain thing. It's incredibly dynamically presented. It's very depressing. I mean, it's darkly comedic. There are some laughs here and there that I almost didn't know if I should or wanted to laugh at because so much of surrounding it is unpleasant. There are some sort of flights of fancy in terms of all the banks he robs have funny names. They don't make a big deal of it, but if you notice the signage, it's like plays on the names of existing bank corporations or credit companies, but with sort of a little skewered title for them. Visually, as I said, very dynamic, very interesting. This is a movie that, like so many films right now, were we not in a pandemic that really kind of threw a giant spiky wrench into the works of the film exhibition world, this is a movie I totally could see playing in theaters. I don't know how commercial it would really be, aside from having Tom Holland in it, because it's really kind of a rough ride. This is one I would see as maybe an Alamo Drafthouse movie, but not maybe your local multiplex might not be the audience for this. But if you like Holland, you're seeing him in a pretty stark drama and so much visual flair, so much really interesting visuals and titles and things like that. It held my attention throughout. I just got, for me, a little bit of the despair of heroin addiction goes a long way. So after a while, seeing these two people that you really liked at the beginning just killing themselves and slowly wasting away it was really hard to take. And that's my own sensibility. You don't want to see people you like get that far down and then take a step up and then get even farther down. But that's what the story is. So it's really well done. Really grim and unpleasant. Not one for the kids. Oh, hey, little Johnny and Susie like Spider-Man. Let's see him in this movie called Cherry. Cherries taste good. No. Cherry is not for them. Cherry is for older teens and grown-ups and people who can handle this kind of stark reality. Again, this is available only if you have the Apple TV Plus. Currently, only if you have the Apple TV Plus service. And really, it's a theatrical caliber movie. As I said, this is one that I think, were it not for the pandemic, we would have seen this in a lot of theaters too. Available now, starring Tom Holland, directed by the Russo brothers, is Cherry.